Okay, get this. Picture a beautiful day right on the River Thames.
Yeah.
You're watching a rowing regatta, one of those classic boat races.
Mm-hmm.
It's all calm and organized. Everyone's having a good time. Then suddenly,
Oh,
total chaos erupts. Some guy in a motorboat just plows right through the race area,
oh, wow.
shouting, nearly hitting a rowing team.
That's why.
We're diving deep into this bizarre incident today.
Okay.
We've got this news article from metro.co.uk to help us unpack it all.
All right.
So we're going to figure out what actually went down, why this particular regatta on the Thames was such a big deal,
Yeah.
and what it all means for safety and, like, just basic etiquette out on the water.
It is pretty crazy, especially when you consider this wasn't just any random regatta. This was the Kingston Amateur Regatta, which has been happening since 1852.
Wow, since 1852.
Yeah, it's a long time to disrupt something with that much history. I mean, it says a lot about this guy,
Totally.
Disregard for the rules and everyone's safety. Yeah.
You mentioned the regatta's history, and I think that's actually a really important point. Maybe people don't realize why that matters.
Sure.
So, what's the big deal about a regatta on the Thames?
Well, you've got to think of the Thames as like the heart of London, right? It's not just geographically, but culturally.
Yeah.
It's been so important for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
These regattas are like a piece of that whole heritage. They bring everyone together, athletes, spectators, the community.
Oh, that's bad.
They're about tradition, competition. They're about celebrating the river itself.
So it's more than just a race.
Exactly. It's connected to the river and the city, and that's what makes this guy's actions so shocking.
Yeah.
Not only did he endanger people's lives,
Right.
but he messed with something that means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this guy. The article calls him Scott Keane,
Yeah, Scott Teen.
and he was driving this unregistered boat named Barney McGrew.
Barney McGrew, that's a funny name for a boat.
So what does unregistered even mean in this context?
Well, an unregistered boat, think of it like driving a car without a license plate or insurance.
Ooh, yeah.
Huge red flag, right? These boats might not be safe, they might not have insurance,
Oh, right.
and the people driving them, who knows if they even know what they're doing?
It's like, yeah, you wouldn't drive a car without a license. Makes sense they'd crack down on that on the Thames.
Absolutely, especially with so many boats out there.
Right, so this guy, Keynes, in his unregistered boat, cruising through this closed race area,
Yeah.
almost slams into a rowing team.
I can't imagine.
What was he thinking?
Well, we get a clue from what he shouted, and I quote, "You don't own the Pfeff water."
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, pretty intense, right? First of all, clearly he was angry.
Yeah.
Felt like he could do whatever he wanted, ignoring everyone else.
Totally.
There's something else there, too.
What do you mean?
Think about those words. You don't own the water.
Okay.
It's kind of ironic, right? Because no one really owns the water.
Yeah, true.
It's a shared resource. Everyone should be able to enjoy it.
Exactly.
But this whole incident makes you think,
yeah, like about...
how do we share these spaces responsibly,
Mhm.
especially as they get more crowded, with more people using them in different ways?
Yeah, so it's bigger than just this one guy's bad behavior.
Exactly.
It's about how we all manage these spaces. How do we make sure everyone's safe and can enjoy them?
Yeah, it's something we see everywhere, not just on the water.
Like where?
Parks, beaches, even online,
Right.
More and more people, more tension. Got to find that balance, freedom and responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, back to Keene.
Yeah.
What happened to him after all this? Did he just, speed off into the sunset?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
The Environment Agency, they're the ones who manage the Thames. And the harbor master, they took this very seriously.
Oh, good.
Slapped him with some pretty hefty fines.
Like how much?
Over 4,000 pounds. And he's facing several charges on top of that.
Whoa, 4,000 pounds. That's no joke. What were the charges?
Well, there's obstructing a boat race, obviously.
Right.
Interfering with safety, failing to comply with the harbor master notices, even navigating his boat dangerously.
Yeah, that sounds pretty dangerous.
Oh, and of course there's the unregistered boat issue.
Right, right.
Yeah, adds another layer of illegal to it all.
Wow, he really messed up.
Yeah, no kidding.
It sounds like they're not letting this one slide at all.
Nope, definitely sending a message,
Yep.
this kind of behavior. Not on the Thames.
Right.
It's a public waterway. Everyone's got to use it safely and respectfully.
Yeah, for sure.
You got it?
Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah, it's a good reminder. Those waterways aren't our personal playgrounds.
right.
There are rules. There are consequences. Just like driving on the road.
Exactly. And speaking of consequences,
Yeah.
this whole thing, it could have been so much worse. Imagine if he had actually hit those rowers.
Oh, gosh, yeah, that's terrifying.
Right.
It makes you wonder, are there things in place to prevent this kind of thing? I mean, besides the obvious rules.
That's a great question. It really gets at how we keep people safe on the water, you know?
Yeah.
You were talking about driving earlier, right? We have driver's ed, licenses, all these campaigns about safe driving. Do we have something like that for boaters?
Now that you mention it, I'm not sure I've seen anything like a big boating safety campaign or anything.
Yeah, there might be a gap there.
Yeah, baby.
And filling that gap could be huge. Think about it. What if we had better educational programs, especially for new boaters, teach them the rules, safe practices, how to handle different weather.
Right.
That could really prevent accidents, build a culture of safety out there.
That's a really good idea. Create like a community of responsible boaters all looking out for each other.
Exactly.
But I'm curious, besides education, is there anything else being done to prevent these conflicts? Not just on the Thames, but in other places too.
You're thinking bigger picture now. And you're right, this isn't just about boats. We see the same thing in parks, beaches, trails, even online. It's fascinating. Some places are trying really different approaches.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, some parks are doing designated zones, so you might have an area for just relaxing, another for picnics, another for more active stuff like frisbee or volleyball.
Oh, so you separate the activities.
Right, it helps minimize those conflicts between different types of users.
That's pretty clever. I bet that would work in a lot of places.
Exactly. It's about being more thoughtful in how we design and use these spaces.
Yeah.
Another thing they're trying is using technology
Oh, okay.
to give people real-time info, like how crowded it is, what amenities are available, even potential hazards.
So people know what to expect.
Exactly. Make better decisions, reduce those chances of conflict or unpleasant surprises.
So using tech to manage expectations. I like that.
Yeah, lots of creative solutions out there.
Going back to the Thames for a second, though.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything specific about rivers that makes them harder to manage?
That's an interesting point. Rivers are always moving. They're dynamic.
Yeah, that's true.
The water level changes, currents shift, weather can mess with navigation.
Right.
And of course, you've got all kinds of boats sharing the same space, from tiny kayaks to giant ships.
Yeah, it's definitely more complex than just drawing lines on a map.
For sure. It needs a more nuanced approach, something that accounts for how fluid the river is, things like clear communication,
Okay.
real-time monitoring, flexible regulations.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This whole thing about shared spaces makes me think about what that guy, Keene, shouted.
What, the you don't own the water thing?
Yeah, it's like he felt the rules of the regatta were taking away his freedom.
Interesting.
Do you think that's a common feeling? Especially for people who like to do stuff on the water.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
It's that tension between individual freedom, especially in a place like a river, which feels wild and free, and those rules that are meant to keep everyone safe.
It's a tough balance.
It really is.
Maybe the solution is changing how we talk about it,
What do you mean?
Instead of focusing on restrictions, what if we talked about shared responsibility? Like empower people to be stewards of these places.
I like that, empowering them to be stewards.
Yeah.
Because in the end, we all benefit when these spaces are taken care of.
Right. It's about shared ownership, understanding that our actions have consequences for everyone.
Absolutely. And that takes us back to education and awareness. The more people understand these ecosystems, the more likely they are to make good choices.
And speaking of responsibility, the article mentioned that boat crash during the Round the Island race on the Isle of Wight.
Oh, right. Yeah.
What happened there? How does that connect to what we're talking about?
That incident is a good example of how things can go wrong even when you're experienced and prepared.
Right.
Several boats crashed. It was partly because of bad weather.
Wow.
Shows how unpredictable the water can be.
Yeah.
And how important it is to be ready for anything.
It's like a perfect storm of things going wrong. You can't plan for everything.
Exactly. Nature always has the upper hand in the end.
So we have to respect its power.
For sure. We can't control everything, but we can control how we prepare.
Right.
And how cautious we are.
So we've covered a lot, from that crazy incident on the Thames to all these bigger issues.
Yeah.
Shared spaces, education, responsibility, how unpredictable nature can be.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. What are the key takeaways here for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is that waterways, like all shared spaces, depend on shared responsibility.
Right.
We all have to do our part to keep these places safe and enjoyable, whether you're a hardcore boater or just spending a day by the river.
And that means Understanding the rules, respecting why they're there.
Absolutely. It's not about taking away your freedom. It's about making sure everyone has a good and safe time.
And maybe we need to do a better job explaining those rules
You think so?
instead of just saying, don't do this or you have to do that.
Right.
We should explain the benefits, highlight how everyone wins when we all play by the rules.
It's a win-win, for sure.
Exactly. And that
Yeah.
brings us to that final piece,
What's that?
building a culture of respect between everyone who uses these spaces, boaters, anglers, swimmers,
Right.
even people just enjoying the view.
We all need to remember we're sharing these spaces.
Yeah.
What I do affects you, and vice versa.
It's about moving past that me mentality.
Totally.
Embrace the we.
Recognizing that we're all connected.
Yeah.
Our choices make a difference.
I love that, shifting from me to we.
It's a simple idea, but it could really change how we interact with each other.
And with the world around us.
Exactly. It's understanding that our freedom actually grows stronger when we all commit to responsibility and respect.
That's a really powerful idea.
It is.
And it applies to so much more than just this.
Yeah. Way beyond boating. Way beyond this podcast even.
It's how we should approach all parts of our lives.
That is.
Yeah, it really is. It goes way beyond just boating or, even just these shared spaces.
It does.
Is how we interact, how we treat each other.
Exactly. Recognizing we're all connected.
Yeah.
Everything we do has an impact.
So we've covered a lot today in this deep dive.
We have.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
I'd say the next time you're in any shared space, park, beach, online, even just like standing in line at the store, just take a second.
Okay.
Think about that we perspective.
Right?
How are your actions affecting everyone else? How can you help make things better for everyone?
It's a great challenge to leave us with. We can all make a difference.
We can, no matter where we are, what we're doing.
And it's not just about avoiding bad stuff.
No.
It's about making things better, actively contributing,
Yeah, building that community, that shared responsibility.
recognizing that we're all in this together.
Exactly.
That's the perfect way to end this. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into river rage, shared spaces, and the power of we.
My pleasure.
Until next time.